A petition with over 2,000 names has been handed into Uttlesford District Council earlier, calling for plans to build thousands of new homes on the edge of Elsenham near Saffron Walden to be scrapped. The Save Our Village campaigners are up in arms about proposals set out in the council's emerging local plan to build 2,100 homes north-east of the village. That's despite rejecting earlier applications for homes on the same land. Well, Nick Baker from the campaign group joins me on the line now. Good afternoon to you, Nick.
Hi Ian, how are you?
Very well, thank you. This petition that's been handed in, from what I'm understanding, the consultation is at its very, very end stages. Do you think this is going to be too little too late?
No, I don't think so, Ian. Bear in mind this started 8 years ago when Uttlesford District Council decided out of the blue and against the recommendation of their planners to put 3,200 houses on this site between Elsenham and Henham.
This was the so-called eco-town at the time, wasn't it?
Well, it led to an eco-town. The then Labour government seized upon the actions of Uttlesford and decided this might be a suitable site for their eco-town. You remember those going back a few years now. And they proposed putting 5,000 homes on the same site. So we then went through a procedure and a process of consultation on the eco-town. The government in the end decided it was not a good site and rejected it. Uttlesford then carried on with their plans for 3,200 houses, and then 2 years ago they rejected that because they said the site wasn't suitable for 3,200 houses. We then moved on, and Uttlesford decided they needed more housing than they actually wanted and reintroduced 2,100 houses on the same site. Meanwhile, the developer had applied for 800 houses on the site and had that rejected by the Uttlesford Planning Committee. So it's a real mess, Ian, a real absolute shambles.
I think most people accept that certainly in this corner of England we do need more houses, and from what I understand the plan also includes building in Saffron Walden, in Dunmow, in Newport, in many other places. So isn't Elsenham just been asked to take its share?
No, that's the very point we make. Elsenham is a village of 900 houses, 900 homes. It's already taking, under the local plan, an additional 550 homes. Now they want to stick another 2,100. And Elsenham Ian, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's got no traffic infrastructure. It's got no shops. It's got no work. It's just arable land between two villages with not a single facility that you could speak of.
I mean, are you against the housing per se then, or would you accept it if it came with those schools and shops and infrastructure?
Well, it won't. It won't come with that. The plans, we've clearly seen the plans from the developer, and it doesn't come with any of that. It's just a dumping of these houses in a remote location. It was completely unsuitable. Whereas there are other areas within the district, it's quite a big district, other developers wanting to build and develop in areas that would be more suitable. And our point is that this is a daft place to put in the middle of nowhere, to put 2,100 homes in country roads and, well, ridiculous. If the council still doesn't accept the petition, is there anywhere else you can go after this? Are you considering legal challenges? Well, we spent, at the moment, in the last 8 years, we, the residents of Elsenham and Henham, have spent £125,000 fighting this. That's residents' money from residents' pockets. That's how strongly they feel about it. This particular, you call it a petition, in fact, it's the end of a consultation on the local plan before it's submitted to the Eric Pickles inspectors. And so there will be an inspector hearing in probably October-ish, where we will, again, vehemently oppose this, together with people in Saffron Walden, the Saffron Walden group, people in Newport, and there are other areas of the town, which also, of the district, which also feel they've been poorly done by a district council which is not listening to its residents. Nick, thanks for your time this evening. Nick Baker there from Save Our Village. In the next hour of the programme, we will hear from Uttlesford District Council about this plan and this consultation. BBC Essex, it is 22 minutes past 6. Now, we know there is a housing shortage in the country, particularly in our corner of Britain. And councils are required to come up with what's called a local plan, of which housing is part of that. Now, Uttlesford District Council are putting the finishing touches to theirs. Some local people, though, say they're not being listened to. Residents in Elsenham, for instance, they've handed in a petition with 2,000 names on it, objecting to plans to build hundreds of homes in their village. Earlier, I spoke to Nick Baker from the Save Our Village campaign group. This particular, you call it a petition, in fact, it's the end of a consultation on the local plan before it's submitted to the Eric Pickles inspectors. And so there will be an inspector hearing in probably October-ish, where we will again vehemently oppose this, together with people in Saffron Walden, the Saffron Walden Group, people in Newport, and there are other areas of the town which also of the district which also feel they've been poorly done by a district council which is not listening to its residents.
Well, Councillor Susan Baker is Cabinet Member for the Environment from Uttlesford District Council. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. If we could just deal with that point first of all, as in this consultation, have you been listening to residents?
We have listened to Nick Baker, and I'm Susan Barker, but not to worry about that.
Do apologise.
Of course we've listened to residents, but this final consultation is not about where we are putting houses. This final consultation that closed today is about whether the way that we have put the district plan together is sound, because when the district plan goes to the inspector, the inspector will need to be satisfied that the plan is sound, and there are various rules, various tests you have to do, various things you have to do to produce a local plan. So this consultation is about asking people to judge whether or not we have put this plan together appropriately. It is not about where the houses are going, or where the employment land's going, or where the schools are going, or where the roads are going. That was done as part of a consultation at the end of last year, and we have considered responses to those comments, and we have made some changes to our plans, but this final plan is not about that. It's not about location, it's not about numbers, it's about whether the plan has been appropriately put together.
And are you confident that it has been done in an appropriate manner and all the I's have been dotted and T's have been crossed?
I believe it has. We do not want, as a Conservative group here at Uttlesford, to build as many houses as we're now proposing. Unfortunately, councils that are putting forward low numbers of housing that don't fully appreciate the need will have their plans rejected. The planning inspector wants to assure that the plan is meeting objectively assessed needs for development, and they are looking at high levels of inward growth into Uttlesford, into Essex. Uttlesford is proposing in this plan 530 houses a year throughout the plan period. Our neighbours across at East Herts are looking at 750. In South Cambridge, it's 950. In terms of local districts around here, it's actually a relatively low number. But because we don't have large towns, we do have to look at where we can put houses, and the inspector will not accept that we put them all in one place and don't provide affordable housing and facilities across the district. So we have spread the allocation across the district as far as we can. But as I say, this consultation is not about that. It's are we consistent with the National Policy Planning Framework? And over the next few weeks, we will analyse the responses that have come in. There is a petition, there is an 80-page, I understand, response. There is a 320-page response to our consultation. But what we have to be assured of is that the inspector will find our plan sound.
The fact that Nick Baker was saying that there are various groups from various areas that have been objecting, in many ways, does that sort of say you've possibly been more fair than most, because everyone seems upset that your plans, you haven't picked on one place in particular?
As the Cabinet Member for this, during this consultation, I have had, I believe, 2 emails regarding this. My name is on the website. I'm responsible. My name is on every document that goes to Cabinet. I have had 2 emails. Of course there are pressure groups. There are always pressure groups. And it doesn't matter if you're building a waste plant or 3 houses or 300 houses. People do not like change. But I can assure you, I knock on many doors as a councillor, and people who have moved to new housing in Uttlesford love being here. And they are welcomed. And it's not about an individual. I think it is about the scale of development, which people don't like. But Saffron Walden, Elsenham, yes, is having a considerable amount of housing. And with that will come primary school provision, will come roads, will come eventually senior school provision as the numbers grow. But these houses won't happen overnight. This is a plan to take us through till 2031. These houses are not going to appear tomorrow or in the next year. A few will, but not all of them.
You might have had 2 emails, but there's 2,000 names on a petition from an area that's only got 900 homes. I mean, that does show the strength of feeling, though, doesn't it?
It may well do, but Nick Baker has certainly not asked to speak to me, and he certainly hasn't even contacted me about this position. I appreciate that people feel passionately about their villages and about their towns, and that's great, because that's what democracy is all about.
Councillor Barker, thank you very much for your time this evening. Councillor Susan Barker there, Cabinet Member for the Environment from Uttlesford District Council.